Hello and welcome to this month's episode of the Aerospace Testing International podcast. This month I chat to Martin Nüsseler, Chief Technical Officer of Deutsche Aircraft, about how the company is transforming itself, developing alternative propulsion systems and the testing and certification challenges that involves. During the conversation we talk about the Dornier 328, why they think it's the best aircraft to update, and the pros and cons of hydrogen propulsion versus battery electric power systems. Martin has a deep knowledge of this area after leading Airbus's alternative propulsion systems and technologies unit for several years. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the podcast as much as I enjoyed talking to Martin. Look out for the write-up in next month's magazine and remember to subscribe to the podcast. Thanks a lot. Please tell me about Deutsche Aircraft. When did you join the company? In December?
I joined the company last year in spring.
Mm-hmm. And what attracted you to joining the company?
Mainly there was two reasons. The last 6 years in Airbus, I was leading a group-wide initiative for new propulsion systems, new energies. We was looking at this time also in Airbus what is the right way to explore the new technologies, on which platforms, on demonstration. So it was very clear also for other people that the small size regional aircraft are maybe the right introduction for new technologies in the CS25 class. So there was for me an attractive, let me say, spin-off of the lessons learned, of the know-how, to apply this in a much smaller organization, in a lean, agile organization with short decisions, which is necessary to implement disruptive technologies. And for me personally, also the let me say the challenge and the opportunity to lead the complete CS25 Part 21 design organization with all the responsibilities for a full aircraft, for a full organization. And as you have mentioned, on the full life cycle of aircraft from the in-flight service we had in the past, we are recently switching to a production OEM and also working on R&D. So this was the two key reasons I was moving to the new position.
Yeah. So, why? The D328 Eco project is improving on the original aircraft in lots of ways. But why choose the D328 to modify and improve? What are the advantages and benefits of using that aircraft? Why not a different aircraft?
Yeah. So, as you know very much, the regional aircraft market today, it's quite more or less driven by running off of old aircraft. The only recently aircraft in production is the RTR. However, with the challenges we have, and we will come maybe later more to this, on the climate impact in all industries, the regional aircraft is one of the most impacted because it's in discussion with other mobility concepts, as you know. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, it's a good size to implement new technology to be more efficient. Because on very large aircraft, it's not so easy to introduce the new technologies. On the other hand, the regional aircraft is impacting the transportation. When you look to OEM or very small aircraft in general aviation, you are not impacting mobility concepts. There are no solutions for the future. Mm-hmm. So I think the regional aircraft market is something which can be used to introduce new aviation concepts, new technologies. The D328 is in the prop version. We have selected not the jet version, both is available. In the prop version, I think the prop will have a new modern touch as a new, more green aircraft. The props versus the regional jets needs around 16 to 20% less fuel burn for the same mission, for the same, let's say, payload to transport. Okay. So this is the reference to use a prop as a more green aircraft. And with the stretch of the 328 for 10 more packs, with a more efficient aircraft and with the capability to burn 100% sustainable aviation fuel, I think it's the right step to introduce on short notice an update which can really a change in this market.
Okay. So I looked at the project and I thought you have new engines, new propulsion going on to the D328. It's just for my benefit. It's a bit like an Airbus Neo program, right? You're re-engineering an aircraft. Is that too basic? Am I being too simple?
Yes, on the one half you're right. Mm-hmm. We are exchanging the propulsion system. Mm-hmm. We make the propulsion system sustainable fuel compatible, but we add also the stretch to get the seat per cost down. Mm-hmm. By maintaining the efficiency of the fuel burn consumption on the legacy aircraft. So, and it's a little bit more. It's all design. We have a complete brand new avionics, new cabin. So there are new systems, new landing gear. So there are, let me say, some more systems exchanges than on the Neo. Yeah. But on the halfway, it's like a Neo, yes, but some more.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And what's the current status of the program, the D328 program? What have you achieved? What milestones have you passed? What's coming up? Could you give me an idea, please?
Yeah. So we have passed last year or beginning of the year. We completed the so-named system requirements review milestone. This is more or less to define the baseline of the aircraft, mm-hmm. of the options of the systems definition. We also have selected the key main components, airframe and systems supplier. And we are in the second phase. All of this is the second phase of the concept phase towards PDR, which will be in the spring next year, 2022, to close the concept phase, which is really closing all the trade studies and the specification of the systems. Okay.
So when you we talked a little bit about using an existing platform. What's the advantages of doing that versus a clean sheet design? What's the benefits and what's the challenges of doing that? Do you mind?
So I think the focus is always what is the objective on the market. Mm-hmm. And our objective on the market is to have an earliest possible impact with a more efficient and less emission aircraft in the regional aviation area. So to achieve this, for example, there is nothing wrong on the airframe of the 328. The aerodynamic performance, the validated concept is still benchmark when you compare with other regional aircrafts. So our focus was on the propulsion, on the efficiency, and on modern systems. So we have said, okay, we take the aerodynamic configuration, we stretch to a limit which is not impacting the performance of the aerodynamic of the airframe, and we use the airframe as it is. This is let me say a winning margin versus a clean sheet, because you don't have to test all static fatigue stuff like a full new TC. So you reduce the amount and the lead time to market. On the other hand, for sure, many systems are obsolescence. You need to update new system. As I've mentioned, avionic, you need a new electric system. So the integration of these new systems is clear a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So when we're looking at each improvement on the 328, you mentioned the avionics and the new propulsion system. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but what's the most important improvement, and what's the hardest to integrate into the platform?
So the challenge, we are very ambitious on the single pilot operation topic. So our flight deck design is already compatible with single pilot operation. Right. From the workload of a pilot. We have implemented functionalities like emergency auto landing, all the stuff you need. But to implement this in the current architecture of the aircraft, with the new avionic, but you also have features you need to implement in the auto throttle, in the auto brake, in other systems.
Yeah.
So this impacts along the system. This is a key challenge.
Okay, all right. I thought you were going to say the propulsion system, the new engines, but that's easy, right? Or
let me say, in the complexity of integration, all this summary what I have mentioned, what is new flight deck, what is the new connectivity of avionic, and let me say this connection, and for sure propulsion is with auto throttle also a challenge on such aircraft, but also the flight control system is still partly mechanical, partly electric. So we need to find solutions to fulfill the requirements, the new requirements, and this interconnections, this interfaces is the real challenge. Okay. This is also, by the way, a key reason we have decided is that we need a kind of, even when it's not the clean sheet design, but for the systems, for the key parameter, a kind of integrated Ironbird avionics test rig, because you cannot rely only on aircraft ground and flight tests to fix these topics, the learning curves of the engineers, and so it's much better from my experience if you have a quite good system rig.
So there's a lot going on the ground first before you start flight testing the new system, right?
Exactly. You need to integrate this new equipment and the new interfaces in the ground test rig. The engineers need to learn, need to correct, need to update the stuff that it works before you integrate in the aircraft.
Okay, thank you. So could we talk a little bit about the company now? There is a change within the company to become a manufacturer of aircraft again. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you have a lot of expertise already in the company, or are you having to recruit, expand a lot? What are the core competencies?
So as you know very well, the 328 support service GmbH, which currently recently switched to the Deutsche Aircraft GmbH, was the last 15 years supporting the flying fleet. It was an in-service company. For sure, there was some programs on STC, on modifications, on TC obligations, but the focus was on in-service, not on production, not on new development. So we have let me say, what was existing is an engineering team with understanding of the legacy aircraft, which is good, and all the lessons learned of the past, of issues which came up in the last years, and what are the sensible elements of systems and airframe. There is a design organization in place, which for sure needs to grow, but this, let me say, is a good starting point. What is new is that we need a much more capable team concerning flight physics, loads, sizing new systems, and also, let me say, the industrialization aspect of design. The key challenge we have today by coming back into the production is that you need to, for example, we need to switch completely the definition dossier to 3D data. This means conversion of 2D drawings in the past in a 3D world to have let me say, a paperless industrialization process. So all these processes, all these competences towards industrialization is the key challenge we have from an organizational point of view.
Okay. So which type of engineers do you need at the moment? Are you recruiting a lot of people?
Yes, I recruited already 50 to 60 people.
Wow.
In this year.
Yeah.
And I need to ramp up further 100 people until mid of next year for the D-8 Eco, but also for the R&T demonstrator. Maybe we come later to this one. So we need significant people on new technologies, on so-named non-specific design, as I have mentioned, loads, stress, fatigue, flight physics, handling quality, all this stuff. But also for product safety. And last but not least, I have a good new director for flight and integration test, hired just recently. So we need to ramp up a complete test department.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that's a lot of good opportunity there to work on an exciting project.
We are looking quite forward in a good mix of experienced people with young people, which I think this is a good opportunity. I know from the past in such smaller organizations, young people can grow very fast. When there are some experienced people, they can really touch in a wider field the scope and understand the full aircraft. This is, I think, some benefit for us, that we are on one location, we are a growing team with a high diversity, and let me say, the people learn the complexity of aviation, of aircraft integration.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned, thank you, Martin, you mentioned the future steps for the aircraft and the R&T project. I know from announcements from news that you've made some partnerships with hydrogen fuel cell companies and a logistics company, Universal Hydrogen. Is the aircraft? Could you explain to me? Is it ready to accept those new technologies for like a hydrogen fuel cell? Is that what you're doing, or?
Yes. So first, I need to recall a little bit.
Yeah.
Which many people misunderstand a little bit, in the past, also lessons learned from my side.
Yeah.
It's not about electrification per definition.
Uh-huh.
Our objective is to have more efficient and less climate impacting aircrafts, which is efficiency in the first step, and the second step, the emissions we are producing. And the emissions are mostly relating to the fuel, to the energy we are using. Uh-huh. So yes, we are looking towards to the step ahead, what I have mentioned, to the quick win with a winning margin to bring a SAF-compatible aircraft quick as possible to the market and to industrialize this. However, the 32S, the 328, as a high-wing configuration in a prop, gives a good opportunity also to think about the next steps on propulsion on energy systems. Mm-hmm. The platform is quite good, compatible with many different architectures which could appear. However, it has always an impact. Yes, we are looking on hydrogen application. Hydrogen could be applied through fuel cells and to electrify the propulsion system, either as hybrid or full electric. Hydrogen could be also used in combustion. However, the key techno break is to use hydrogen as a fuel. If you use it for combustion or for fuel cells, so the tank system, the distribution is a key challenge.
Yeah.
So to come forward on this topic, we have in parallel launched, and this is also with LUFO funding in Germany and with a lot of partner companies.
Yeah.
A demonstrator program, which includes the full chain of hydrogen tank, fuel cell system, and a hybrid engine to power in altitude the aircraft by electric through fuel cell generated.
Okay, all right. So when is the time scale for that happening? When will you have a demonstrator?
The demonstrator is planned to fly 2025.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
As it's very early, it's a challenge. So we're starting already on the hybrid engine design, which is we just had this week a review on PDR on this engine integration into the nacelle.
Yeah.
It's quite advanced. We are starting now with the fuel cell system. What is the impact on this? And we, as you have mentioned, we are already working with Universal Hydrogen on a hydrogen storage system.
Okay, all right. So do you favour hydrogen over battery electric for these future regional air travel, or do you think both will be involved, or is there a reason you're choosing hydrogen and not battery?
So. From a today point of view, and with a forecast of the next 10 years, with the technology we have available on batteries will not a solution for aircraft,
Okay.
it can be easy calculated. You just eat up the payload.
Yeah.
So this is what I say. It's still also efficiency per payload kilogram you have in the aircraft, and not just only the emissions. Because if you use the double energy overall, or 3 times the energy to transport the kilogram payload, it's also not very climate friendly, even when the operation is zero emission in CO2. But you need to think on the production of batteries, of the aftermarket impact of such stuff, and on the efficiency. So today, for a larger aircraft, I would say larger aircraft more than 4 seats. It's even very small. You cannot really demonstrate with battery, even as a complementary energy source, that you win something. This is the current status.
So was that a big decision to think hydrogen instead of battery electric, or was it? It sounds like quite simple to you, that it's just not ready yet.
Yes, it's quite simple, this decision. With all the experience from the past where we tried, and up to now, nobody can demonstrate on a real scale-sized propulsion is pure electric one, that the weight impact is less enough to have a business afterwards. You know.
And I know you used to work on the aircraft systems for Airbus. Is there anything? I mean, is that what you learned from that? What have you learned from that experience that's coming into Deutsche Aircraft?
For sure, you have always personal experience when you work over 6 years on such topics and key programs. But it's also the general, let me say, real experts' knowledge that it works not with battery.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. So just some final questions, please, Martin, around what your work is like, what your daily work day is like. I'm just curious, and I know some of the readers will be. I mean, what's a typical day at work? I mean, you sound very busy at the moment. Are you very, very busy, or I mean, what do you do?
Let me say, I'm very busy in the how wide the topics are I need to manage. But it's I like it. It's very inspiring. It's ramping up a team. The most challenge I have daily, and the most challenge and on the most positive thing is you deal with people. You communicate. You communicate the topics. You decide together. I think it's a very inspiring environment we have. It's a mix between, on one hand, a startup. On the other hand, we have already aircrafts in the hangar which are flying. So it's I recognize for the people it's a very interesting mix. Yes, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of topics we need to do, but it's a team question, and if the team is good, it's a very inspiring task.
Is it? Tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a bit like a football team. Maybe you want your experienced players and your new young upcoming players coming into the team, right? Or am I wrong?
Yes, it's the right balance, as you say. If you have only a trainee center, it will not work. You need too long to come forward.
Yeah.
But the mix on passionate, experienced people, old people like me, with 50 years or more than 50 years old already, yes, and a lot of experience from other programs. But with high passionate still, and we have some people, with young people which are really also have a high ambition to learn something. I think this is a quite good mix. We need also to overcome the challenges we have, yes.
With the goal of more sustainable aviation all the time, of course.
Yes, we at Deutsche Aircraft, the complete team is very convinced that today we have around 5,000 aircraft in the air, in the regional aircraft size, jets and props. But they will be not replaced by the old technology. We are convinced that you need to come with new solutions back on this market to have the acceptance, to have the right answer to efficiency emissions. There will be different cost driver, We will pay taxes for CO2 and all this stuff. So we are convinced there is a good market, and the richer market is the first one where we have maybe more opportunities for sustainable products.
Okay, fantastic. Martin, thank you so much for your time today. It's really interesting to hear about the progress being made at Deutsche Aircraft, and I'm very impressed with all of the news that's happening. It's very exciting at the moment. So thank you very much. I'll let you get on with your very, very busy day and building up your team. Is there anything you'd like to finish up with saying, or anything you'd like to say, or?
Yeah, I think it's I like always to use this opportunity to motivate people to come to us, to join us, to go the journey with us towards a different philosophy of aviation. So this is the key message I like to play.
So fascinating to hear there about the progress being made at Deutsche Aircraft, and I think interesting to hear about the scale of the job being involved in building up the team and the equipment and the facilities to move from being a service provider to an aircraft manufacturer. So I hope you enjoyed listening. Remember to subscribe and have a great rest of your day.